I'm Matt Reynolds. I am the Senior Teaching Artist with ArtsMatter, an LA Promise Fund program. I'm teaching Biotechnology and Invention, where we're going to be using stop motion to animate and illustrate a biotechnology solution to a global problem. So you are joining us for one of the 3 teacher guide specific PST ART initiatives with our arts and science colliding as our theme. You've obviously heard the spiel probably elsewhere as well, but we are going to be doing one of those teacher guides, one of those specific art and science collisions, specifically biotechnology and invention, and we're going to be using stop motion animation to demonstrate some of those principles when we're using biotechnology and invention language, problem solving, and all that other goodiness, okay? So here's kind of an exemplar of what you're gonna walk away from here today with, right? A fun little animation. It's not so serious, right? Art gives everything just a little bit more pluck, right? So here are the outcomes. The main one that you need to really focus on right here is that we're gonna create a stop motion animated model of an invented solution, okay? So let's do a little icebreaker. There's a couple of you who are joining us here. So our icebreaker, just to kind of like get in the mindset here, is you're going to focus on what's your vision for a futuristic solution to a present issue in your school or community? What other products can you imagine genetically engineering to improve the relationship between humans and the natural world? Big, heady idea here. I put here an illustration of the vast applications of biotechnology. We've got medical and pharmaceutical, industrial, agricultural, informatics and data, marine and aquatic environments, food production, governance and ethical consideration, and of course, warfare. So hopefully you think of one that's like a little more uplifting and positive. But perhaps you've heard a story in the news, or maybe even something in a science fiction film, right? Where there's a use of biotechnology to solve a problem, okay? So we're just gonna take a little moment right now, talk to folks at your table. I wanted to share with you this example because I'll admit, it took a little longer than you're going to have to make yours, okay? And also, I already said I'm a professional animator, so it's totally cool. But what I was trying to demonstrate with this is this person throws plastic into the ocean. We see all the plastic floating around in the ocean. And then, through biotechnology, they've been able to genetically modify bacteria so that they can consume and break down plastics, okay? Leaving happy fish, right? Right? So if we broke this down into a structure, we're all aware of beginning, middle, and end. This is how you can plug in your curriculum, any other kind of curriculum into an animation project, because animation demonstrates some form of change, right? Some kind of beginning, middle, and end. If it's science, if it's biotechnology specifically, we start with the beginning, all right, what is the global problem? The middle, what is the biotech intervention? So there's a little plastic-eating bacteria guy there. And the end, what is the desired outcome, okay? So in this way, this is what our model of a biotech solution, how it's going to be presented, okay? So very brief, my background is not in biotech. My father worked in biochemistry though, so I emailed him and asked him a couple of questions. But essentially, biotechnology is the human use of biological processes or organisms to solve a problem. So this is a broad definition. Could be as, we wouldn't consider it as like technologically advanced. However, like the crossbreeding of different animals to create ones that are better used for agriculture, domestication, all that stuff is using the process of genetics and biology to create some kind of like technological solution, right? And then, of course, we can get much, much more advanced. Now people are using CRISPR and all this amazing stuff and like literally getting in, cutting the genes, and reorganizing them to create desired outcomes. All right? Stop motion. That's the other part of this thing, right? Stop motion is a technique of animation in which physical objects are manipulated between camera exposures in order to give the illusion of fluid movement, okay? We see the animator working on this Pinocchio film. This is one of the newer stop motion productions that's come out. Hello, welcome. You want to take a seat? Join us. Where we can see between the exposures, so that just means the click of the camera, right? And they're using a single puppet. You can also replace things in between, right? So these are different shoes. It looks like these shoes are growing and shrinking, but really they're just taking a picture, moving the shoes, putting a different pair of shoes in that's either slightly smaller or slightly larger. That incremental change is really, really key, and then taking another picture. And then when you sequence those back together, you play them back in sequence, it's this appearance of fluid motion, okay? So we think of sequence, breakfast, lunch, dinner. It's a particular order in which related events, movements, or things follow each other, okay? You can't have your dinner after your breakfast. I mean, I don't know, maybe you're on like a crazy nurse schedule or something like that. That's fine. But we have a particular order in which we make the thing, so we want to present it back in the exact same particular order so that it creates this illusion. These are all independent still drawings of a wolf. If we were to just randomly put them there, it would look like the wolf was like having like a seizure or something like that. But instead, it looks very smooth, and it gives us this illusion in our brains that it is moving, okay? So we're going to do a little demo. And I would really appreciate Raven and Baron J, your help here. We're going to use iPads just to demo this for you guys because it's a nice big screen. Usually I would connect it here, but Promethean boards, Promethean is not with us today. But we're going to be opening the Stop Motion Studio app. So if you want to open that on your phone, that's terrific. You can follow along with us just to do a little test. But essentially, the first thing, once you open Stop Motion Studio, which is this little icon here, a little camera, it's going to take you to a kind of in-between menu. Actually, the first thing it might show you is like a little like stupid animation that they made. But you can just like click out of that. That's totally fine. And you shouldn't see anything if you've never used Stop Motion Studio before. There'll be their sample video, but then this little plus sign here, that's to make a new movie. So I'm going to make a new movie, okay? It's going to take me to, oh, here's the little thing it wants to show me. I'm so proud of it. It's going to take you to a window that looks like this. So you hit that little camera icon, and now what you should be seeing is on the iPad, you've got the camera right here, right? Okay. So a couple things to note at this point, at this juncture. I can take a picture by clicking that little red button, right? Let's take a picture of the screen here. Makes a nice little shutter sound, so I know. A couple things that I want to draw your attention to here. The first is this little slider thing over here on the left. If I click and drag that down, sometimes it doesn't want to participate. You can see a ghosted image now of the last image I took. The reason this is such a handy feature is this helps with registration, okay? I only want movement where it is desired, okay? If it's going all over the place, the kid's like, I'm taking an animation of like this thing that I worked really hard on, and all the drawings are like perfectly animated, it's going to look all over the place. So only where it is desired. So I am going to now use this ghosted image of the previous picture I took to just make this bright screen, just like move in just a little bit more and take another picture, another. And essentially what I'm animating here is the scaling up of this bright white screen, or kind of like a camera movement, okay? We are going to be using these down shooters, so there's going to be no movement of the camera. If you want to zoom in on something, I encourage that. I did that a little bit in my film. But the really nice thing now, other than this onion, we call it an onion skinning feature, like an onion. An onion's kind of transparent, so we can kind of see the ghosted image of the last frame we took. I can now hit the play button, and we can see our animation. Okay? It's working. But I'm like I said, professional animation background, I'm a stickler for this. I think this looks too slow. It's too slow, right? It's too choppy for me. The reason is because it's defaulting at 5 frames per second, okay? Generally, when we watch a film, it's 24 frames per second. Animators, well, they're very industrious people, but they are kind of lazy, and they've determined that they only need to make half the amount of frames. They can do 12 frames per second. So you will also notice down here a couple of icons, one of which is a little gear. It looks like a little gear right there.
Oh, yeah.
Something like that. It's probably on the side. Yeah, the format might be different if you're on a phone, but just look for the gear, because the gear is the info where I can manipulate all these different things. There's playback. I can make it loop playback. There's different camera settings. The main one that I want you to focus on is there's a little icon that looks like an odometer on a car, okay, like how fast you would be going. And right now it's defaulted at 5 frames per second, right? I just want to click and slide that over to 12. Okay? And then I can hit done. And the reason, now I hit play, it looks more fluid. It looks more fluid. 12 frames per second, it's pleasing to our brain. We buy the illusion easier. Okay? So, you are going to be using these devices or your phone, which is really great because most people have phones. And it's an open source software that's free. There is a paid version, but this will kick out a 1080p video or GIF, and that's like good enough, right? Like it's perfect. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting these on top of these little down shooter setups. Stop. Let's say my little demo, that's not going to be my final film, right? I'm going to make something better. Now it's like inventoried here in my little library, okay? I'm going to make a new film, okay? And I'm going to put it on top of here. I'm going to move it around so that there's not like part of the wire right over the camera and everything. And then this is going to be the space that I'm animating. And if you want to just get up actually, here, that's a great idea. If you want to stand up, stretch your legs. So I have just an array of cutouts over there, much of which are biotech themed, okay? So you're going to arrange your first frame under the camera here. Let's say I'm going to have this guy at the bottom of the screen. I'm ready to take a picture. Again, if you're on the phone, it's kind of a different format, right? You have to hit the camera, and then it'll take you to this one, right? I'm going to hit the little gear. Oh, my God, default at 5, always. And I'm going to take my first picture. OK. I'm going to move this just a little bit. Oh, but of course I want to see my onion skinning, so I know how far I'm moving it. OK. Boom. Boom. And then I'm going to slow it down just a little bit because it's coming to a stop, and it does that slowly. And then I'm going to have this hand kind of like appearing, I guess, and removing this DNA from this petri dish. It's going to come from behind. Yeah.
You can get a lot closer if you'd like, so you can kind of see what's going on the
Oh, yeah. You can get close. Sorry, I am sweating already because it's a million degrees outside. And then this is kind of like coming out. And this is where working in teams is really, really useful. One person's kind of like, you can really only pay attention to like the movement of one thing a lot of times, and then someone else takes the picture. And you get in a kind of rhythm of like, okay, all right, now I jump back in. And let's just have this here. And this is going to go away. And now this is coming back. this is appearing because we're going to put it in the hamburger, I guess. Again, is this demonstrating that I really know what happens in biotechnology? Something like this, right? Ta-da! And then if I wanted to do like a camera move, I could just zoom in just a little bit. Yeah, exactly. Zoom in a little more. Zoom in a little more. Okay. Now we play it back. There's our little animation. Oh, and I can loop playback real quick. One sec.
I know.
Well, this is something you could do at home. And also, you know, what I really love about Stop Motion Studio is like if you have like a kid. Yeah, if you got your own kid or a niece or nephew, or I don't know, maybe you're a teacher and you got students that you got to teach. This is an activity you can do on a phone or an iPad, and it's a free software, and it's like immediately like it gets them observing, it gets them investigating. It's so fun.
You say you find these cutouts in magazines, right?
Oh yeah. So I'm like obsessively looking, like going to libraries and saying, what are you throwing out? And then they're like, well, we don't need this like book of like a Korean recipe book. And you're like, cool. Now I've got a bunch of an imagery catalog of Korean food or something like that. So always ask around, look for discarded things and cut them out, because that's the main thing, is it creates a sense of immediacy. They're not, because they will take forever to draw a character. They have their own insecurities about drawing things. This, they're automatically like interacting, because I'm gonna watch you guys in just a second, and it's super fun to just go over there and just be like, okay, what kind of narrative? So we are going to create some kind of stop motion demonstration of a biotech solution. You can work in groups of 2 or 3 if you'd like. If you want to work by yourself, absolutely can. I mean, we've got access. To create a short animation that models a biotech solution to a global problem. I would like these to be 12 to 36 frames in part, because the one thing that I didn't show you yet is that you're going to need to export this. And that is the one thing about a GIF, because I want you to make a GIF, it won't go past 36 frames. If you want to make something, if it ends up going past 36, you're having so much fun with it, we can export it as an MP4, which is just like a video file. But if it's a GIF, it'll play over and over and over again like this, okay? Because that's what we want to get. We kind of want to get to that, all right? Keeping in mind a structure where there's a beginning, middle, and end, introduce the problem, biotech intervention, desired outcome, playback at 12 frames per second, you know, show back to me that you know where the little thing is. Loop the playback if you can. That's also in that little gear symbol. And then we're going to export it as a GIF. So if I like this project, I'm like, this is beautiful. I go back here, I click and I hold on the project that I want to export. It gives me all of these options here. I say export movie.
Oh, wait, where did you go? I'm sorry.
I can do that again. I click and I hold here. Export movie.
Okay.
Click and hold. Export movie. Or animated GIF. Actually, on the phone, I think it says export, save film, and then you export. But essentially, you want to get to animated GIF, GIF. And then you're going to come to this option. We're a small enough group. I'm going to just airdrop it. Okay? And I'm going to airdrop it to Matt PF Mac. Okay? Matt LAPF Mac. Okay? And then, accept. And then we're going to get to watch all these at the end. Okay? We've got all of these ideas up here for examples of biotech solutions, problems. This group over here, do you want to just shout out some of the things that you were talking about?
Yeah, we were talking about food and access to not only healthy food, but quality, healthy food of quality.
Okay.
Also, the labor that goes and the time and labor that goes into preparing quality food is an equity thing as well.
Also talk about affordability to, for the more disadvantaged communities.
Yeah, right? Okay, excellent. That's great. Yeah, if food doesn't naturally grow in a certain environment, a certain soil, it doesn't grow large enough to feed more people. If you genetically modify it, you can get those outcomes, right? So what would we see? Maybe like a small tomato injected with a thing, tomato gets big, right? So you got to think about the visualization. How are we going to visualize that model, okay? Affordability, okay, you guys, great. We can work in groups. Again, if you want to work by yourself, we have the space, we have the capacity. We can get you a down shooter, but I would just choose the space where you're going to be working and then start collecting things. Think about what you're going to be saying. What is the beginning? So what is the global problem? What is the desired outcome, the end? And that middle is just the biotech intervention, okay? All right, and we're here to help. And let's work for 30 minutes. You want to...
That's the onion skin.
Yeah,
Because
okay.
then you're gonna be moving her too.
So I'll let you guys set up. I'd like to go back one just in case I've got like multiple films. So guys, we're going to do a quick showcase to celebrate the work that you guys did, to illustrate your comprehension of the process of biotech invention.
Okay, so we're talking about food access, and so the beginning will be less access. They're kind of like thinking about, okay, well, if I'm going to stay healthy, I need to eat healthy fruits and vegetables, right? So, and then so we have this science team trying to see what they can do to improve the quality of food, and then now everyone have access and they're happy and they're, you know, in shape. And
Yeah, excellent, amazing, yes, okay. Fantastic job, everybody.